Hi, this is Kristen Musser, and I'm going to take you on a little journey with me through my Understanding by Design unit. This is a unit that I have created in the UBD format over a Force and Motion Simple Machines content for fifth grade. Before I hop right into the actual template and show you the unit in written format, I would like to share with you a little bit of background. Whenever I first started learning about the UBD design, like a lot of teachers, I think I probably was a victim of the twin sins. If someone would have asked me, is a classroom that's completely saturated in student led activity hitting the mark? I think many teachers would say yes. Or a classroom that is very coverage focused and teacher led. I may have even thought, yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. However, as we've learned, as our authors have explained, that a classroom that is completely activity focused or coverage focused is missing the mark because those students really don't have a clear intentional goal. What's important here? Where are we heading? That hasn't been established. There are no explicit big ideas that are guiding the teaching, and there's really no plan for ensuring the learning. And so that is one reason why I have really enjoyed this UBD design. The beauty of the backward design, as I borrow a quote from Stephen R. Covey, who is the author of the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, he says, "To begin with the end in mind means to start with a clear understanding of your destination. It means to know where you're going so that you better understand where you are now, and so that the steps you take are always in the right direction." And I feel like that just really complements what we have learned about UBD. At the heart of UBD is the end goals. So as I'm about to jump over and show you from my template, something that you may notice if you were to look through my unit is I provide my students and have always provided my students with an ICANN checklist. Now, this upcoming school year, I will include our essential questions in that checklist. The 6 facets of understanding, I'm really trying to incorporate those 6 facets of explanation. Am I giving my students the chance to explain or justify their responses? Interpretation, encouraging them not just to look for that right there answer, but to dig deep. Application, that's really where that performance task comes in, and students get the opportunity to use their knowledge. The perspective, encouraging them to step back and ask, what's the value in this knowledge? How is it important? Empathy, seeing the world from different lenses, and that ever important self-knowledge, the wisdom to know themselves as learners. So let's get into my UBD. Stage 1, real world transfer. I think that this is really important. Grant Wiggins has said, to quote him, that transfer is the aim of any education. There's simply too much to learn for any one person. So the point of school is not just to get good at school, but to effectively parlay what we learned in school, in other learning, and in life. So in stage 1 of my template, you will see, as I scroll down here, obviously there's a brief summary of the unit that you can see whenever you get into my UBD. But these desired results, identifying the desired results, what my established goals are for my students, identifying the forces acting on a load, using a spring scale to measure the weight, describing how friction affects the amount of force needed to do work over different surfaces or through different media. Some people might say, oh, these are just your standards, but they're really my goals for the unit. And then I've got my big ideas. These big ideas are what I really want my students to be able to take away. After the unit is over, what can they transfer to even other areas of learning? That carries into our essential questions. I will definitely be including these essential questions moving forward in the school year with my ICANN checklist. And then, of course, we have our students will know and what my students will be able to do. And all of this does go hand in hand with those essential questions as well as the big ideas. Looking at the stage 2, this is where the performance task comes in. Grasps is huge with those performance tasks. The goal, the role, the the audience, situation, the performance, the product, the purpose, and then those standards and criteria for success. So as you look at stage 2 in my unit, I am presenting my students with the opportunity to create a manual. They take what they've learned about the 6 simple machines at this point in the unit, and they are a moving company, and they're going to help my family move, but they can't be there with us. And so this performance event gives them the opportunity to show what they know about simple machines using a specific simple machine with a specific household item. Now, something that's really important for this performance task is providing our students with the rubric. And as you can see, this is a lot like a rubric that I would actually give to my students. I like to color code my rubrics. I highlight the distinguished so that they know this is what I'm aiming for. This is what I want my goal to be to earn all of those points. After the stage 2, we enter stage 3 of my UBD, which is the learning experiences and instruction. This is really where we see the importance of where to, and I will take us over to the where to, just remembering where are we heading, how can I hook my students, what experiences can I provide them with. Revisiting, rethinking, how can we let the students express and engage in meaningful self-evaluation, how will we differentiate it, and how will we organize it. Now that was a big part for me in the organization. As we move down into the template, organizing according to where to was brand new for me. So laying out all of the learning activities and coding it with where to really made me evaluate what's important, what do I really want in this unit, as well as the incorporation of the calendar, as you can see, that lays it out day by day. Moving on into the lessons. So I will take us back into a little information about my lessons. I covered Newton's 3 laws of motion, spring scales, and using simple machines. This was really a refresher for me on lesson plan writing. I haven't written a lesson plan like you'll see in a long time, making sure that I made note of the technology in my accommodations, intentional student activities, and teacher-led instruction. So the first lesson that I included is about Newton's 3 laws of motion. You'll see as I move down through the template that students are held accountable for learning those laws of motion. This is an activity that they would complete in Google Classroom. You can see the answer key. The read aloud that I would start the lesson with to hook the students, Newton and me. And then you'll see notes that the students will fill in the blank as they work their way through an interactive video. Here are some screenshots of this video. They would use this on Scholastic Study Jams, and it will take them through all 3 laws of motion, and they will be held accountable also at the end of the video for the self-check. The tests, there are 7 questions that hold them accountable, and I am able to see their responses on my teacher computer. My second lesson is about, spring scales, and they are working through stations where they actually get hands-on and get spring scales into their hands and put them into work. Observation stations. They travel through 6 stations and they make notes of their findings. The last lesson in my unit covers simple machines, and again they are able to travel through stations, and in those stations they make note of things they find out with each of the simple machines, the wedge, the lever, the inclined plane, and they come back together and create a movie after capturing images of themselves at the station. So that's a little bit about my UBD. Thanks for joining me. I do want to make sure that I give credit to our authors, Wiggins and McTighe. Thanks for joining.